The Chief Spokesperson, Peter Datti, Baba-Ahmed, Presidential Campaign Council for the 2023 election, Alhaji Yunusa Tanko, has said that reforming the electoral process is much more needed now than the proposed single-tenure rotational presidency to deepen democracy. Now, Tanko, former national chairman of the defunct National Conscience Party, in an interview with newsmen on Tuesday, said reforming the electoral process would guarantee the emergence of credible leaders across all levels of government. Now, these single tenure of 6 years and rotational presidency are things that will be decided by the Nigerian people with the time, when the time comes. Now, they are not things that should be on the front burner of discussion at the moment. This is because what we need actually at the moment is for us to have an electoral reform that would dovetail into credible elections. These are the thoughts of Tanko. He has told us his actual thoughts on this. You know, this debate has been on for some time now, single tenure and rotational presidency. But I'd really love to get your thoughts on this one, Mufasa.
Well, I quite respect his opinion. As a matter of fact, everybody is trying to provide solution for the Nigerian project. But then again, I am also aware that we've had lots of reforms in this country. Starting from Justice Waste reform and all of that. Papers were presented, communicated, and up to this moment, I'm yet to see any of these reforms, are duly and properly executed. I've always said that our problems most times is not even the absence of laws, but we have failed to even respect some of the laws that we have already going forward. So for me, I think is well within his right to an opinion. It's a liberty to do so, but I do not believe in a rotational style of leadership. Why did I say so? Democracy is about the people. Quite all right. Well, if the people say that that's what they want, good and fine. But personally, I feel if you make leadership something that has to go by a turn by turn basis, by the time it gets to the turn of a people who do not have credible candidates, or people that have the capacity to deliver and the desire to accomplish, you see power now find its way into a complete ignoramus just because it's influential or it has so much money, and that will portend a serious danger for us as a nation. I think what we should be talking about is how to strengthen institutions like the electoral body, institutions like the judiciary, and what have you. If we have strong institutions rather than strong individuals, even if all the political position comes from one family, you cannot influence the system, because the moment you try to do so, the system, the institutions will check those excesses. So for me, I do not believe in rotational arrangement.
Strengthening the institutions, is that not part of the reforms he's talking about?
That's what I said. I just said something that we can pick from some of the suggestions preferred, but I just said rotational arrangement. I personally do not believe in that. We can go further to say that as a country, let us have a decision where if INEC is truly independent, they should have a system where the president does not have to single-handedly choose who becomes the chairman of INEC. If you have a situation where the chairman of INEC, they should bring they should have an arrangement where states or civil society groups suggest individuals of proven integrity. Then they now appear before a panel duly constituted by maybe the National Assembly to now vet and screen this individual, and out of all of them you pick the person that is the best. Then the government can now fund the institution, and that individual will run that institution as an independent body. By so doing, you have strengthened that institution. You do not need to be influenced by the person who have selected you or something. Let me give you a good example. If you go to America, in the judicial system, there's what they call the jury system, where if a case is being heard, they select people from within the communities who are not judges. But these are individuals within the communities, and they are meant to, look as observe as the case, as the proceedings developed. Within them, they conclude and agree to say that this is our collective decision, having, examine the position of those who have come to hear their views and all of that. So the judge will now look at the resolution of the jury and, also, with his own wisdom and all of that, come up with, with a judgment. That is an institutional arrangement. So for me, I think we can begin to look into that. Some of these our leaders will travel to Europe and America. We see how things are being done there. If we say we practice a democracy that we borrowed from these countries, I think we should also try to tailor our democracy in such a way that it will also encompass some of these things that gives, integrity, that gives transparency to their democratic system. I don't know if our own democracy is made in China, but then again, we have a way of, making a mockery of what other people are doing well in their, their various domains. So for me, like I've said before, the gentleman has, provided a solution or solutions to what he thinks could be a driving force that will strengthen our democracy. But then again, there are certain things also that I personally like. That issue of rotational arrangement, it doesn't sit well with me.
All right, Victor.
Well, I mean, it's completely true. To a large extent, I agree with, what Yunusa Tanko said, because, the most important thing for us, unfortunately, is not just the reforms. I mean, Mufasa has mentioned this, and this is a fact, a very, notorious fact that where we are as a country, not because of the lack of laws, not because of the lack of regulatory constitution, but because of the lack of implementation. There are a lot of laws already, constituted that, was or is meant to guide us. Where we're having the challenges, implementation. Even if you go on these reforms, we've had the electoral reform just quite recently. So, I mean, I don't know the other reform. What other reform do we want to make, concerning our electoral reform? We just had one, even had to, touch on the constitution of how INEC is operating. So which other constitution do we want? The same one that we gathered and said, okay, let us have electronic voting. What happened in the last election?
Exactly.
So it is not even, I mean, remember is it a rec from which of the states? This is Zamfara or which Adamawa state? I can't remember the state where where someone that is not saddled the responsibility to declare winner of an election.
I think it's Adamawa state.
Adamawa state.
Adamawa state.
Declared an election. I mean, while the election was still going on, declared the result. Till date, have you heard any conviction? What we've been hearing once in a while, information will just come out that this person should be tried. Excuse me. So what other laws do we want? I mean, we have the electoral laws clearly stated. We know what we need to do. Are we doing them? Tell me, what is INEC doing concerning voter registration? You're a journalist. How often have you heard INEC talk about the revalidation of voters' registration? These are responsibility. This is how, but we're not doing it. So it is not the...
You said we know what to do. What do you say?
We know, and we've set out laws. It's in our laws. It depends on... You say what is... There are a lot of things that we need to do. So you want me to go and start mentioning all of that? What the question is concerning what Yunusa Tanko said, what do we need to do in terms of our electoral? We have laws. We need to execute the laws. We need implementation. We need the people saddled with the responsibility to implement laws, to take action. We need the judicial system that is saddled with the responsibility to punish, when people err. We need them to take, proactive actions and steps towards these things. If somebody is wrong, I mean, what is there? The police, what are you saying? The police to send the person to court is a challenge, or is it the judges from convicting that person? Is that what is the challenge? So unfortunately, what we need to do is implementation. These reforms he's talking about, maybe he forgot that.
Okay, let's talk about the single-tenure presidency now. What are you?
I already told you I agree with him that it is not even something we should be talking about.
Really?
No, yeah, of course.
Okay, why? Why do you think? Why do you think? Calm down, Victor. Why do you think? Why do you think the single tenure presidency is what we need right now?
No. I said I'm agreeing with him. He said
it's not what we need.
It's not
right
what
now.
we need, and I'm saying I agree with him. Okay. Whatever reasons he has are my reasons.
Are your reasons?
Yes.
That's the single tenure, and then the rotational. Mufasa mentioned earlier that when it has to do with rotational presidency, it might have, it might not sit well with us, because by the time it gets to a particular, should I say, region now, you may not find somebody who is competent enough to stand in to represent that particular region. But the truth is, not every Nigerian agrees with that. A lot of people feel like we'll definitely have competent people in all the regions. When is their turn, they prepare somebody. I remember somebody I had yesterday had a lot of reasons to tell us why rotational presidency is something that we should get to look at right now.
Well, you know, I'm sure one of the strongest arguments would be equity. You know, they will tell you want equity to ensure there's balance. But for me, that if you emphasize on that, it takes away merit. You know, we cannot have people on merit. Just like he mentioned, when it gets to, in quotes, these people, the turn of these people, and then for the other people, we have somebody that has the will, someone that is committed and has the capacity
so
to give us to give. I'm saying priority. Let's say this is the turn of the North, and you have a very proactive, very active, and willing individual that is putting himself forward, that is not from the North, to rule us at the time, as important as it is. Then you say, oh no, it cannot be. The problem is this is the turn of the North, so this person cannot, even in the face, because don't forget, while we might have credible people from that region, not denying that they might not have credible at the time, whichever region that, in quote, the rotation stops, we might not have that, what we need in the forefront. The people that, because you cannot go on the street and start looking for who is credible.
Exactly.
They are the people that are in the top top front of the whole politics.
They consider themselves as influential people, the bourgeois.
They are the ones that,
you know.
So it's not an open-ended something. Yes. Say, okay, because, and we're not saying there's lack of the people, but lack of people that are accessible at that time. In the case of presidency, would you say, okay, because we are considering from the North, say let us go to the North and look for credible candidates? No. The people, the different parties will present to us the corrupt, I'm sorry, the people that they have. I would have to pick from the ones of corrupt, or, sorry,
yes,
a bunch of these people. So that alone defeats the aim of rotational, positioning, just like, they are saying. If you say that is the argument, Mufasa mentioned something very important. If we take cognizance of the fact that individuals are now more powerful, than institutions, we've created systems where individuals can override and overpower institutions. If we have a system where we have working institutions, which we should focus on strengthening, if we have that in play, then we can say, okay, yes. For instance, if we have our laws to favor independent candidature, what it means is that Mufasa can say, okay, he wants to contest, and all his friends look at him and say, this guy, Mufasa, go. I don't need to belong to the PDP, the APC, or Labour Party, or any of those other parties. All we need to do is come together and say, yes, Mufasa is who we want. We'll sponsor him, do all the necessary things that needs to be done, and he will project him. He goes. If those kind of laws are enabled, that system laws, what it means is that the system encourages this flexibility. But you and I know that it is not so. I mean, was it not as active as Peter Obi has been in the politics prior to his moving to Labour Party? What made him leave PDP? If not for the amount of traction he was able to generate, do you think Obi would have done what he did? But he had to go to another party that was at least, had some reputation. So I'm saying if that could happen in a PDP, it should let you know what happens, that the system does not appreciate or encourage this rotational credit, because there's no credence. At the end of the day, when you say rotation, does the rotation actually rotate? When it goes to that region, does it actually favor? Does it actually? Is it open?
It's not thrown open. It's still one strong man there that will now decide. Okay, this is my boy. Let him go.
So that alone defeats that argument.
Is it even well, let's move on to the next story now.